The sound of music was what I heard first. Not just any music, slow, sensual, private, the kind you don't play in the middle of the day unless you're trying to set a very specific mood. My name is Jason Blake, 38. I live in Denver, Colorado. I built my life from the ground up. Started with freelance IT gigs in college and eventually co founded a cybersecurity firm that now handles security for half the Fortune 500. Not flashy, but smart, structured, stable. At least, that's what I thought about everything in my life. Until that afternoon. I wasn't supposed to be home. Investor lunch was canceled at the last minute, so I thought I'd surprise my wife. Grabbed her favorite spicy tuna rolls from Kai's, a bottle of red from the cellar, and decided to take an early day off. Romantic, right? That was the plan. I walked through the door of the modern glass and cedar house I designed myself, the one she said made her feel safe, seen, and spoiled. Everything looked normal. Shoes by the stairs, her coat is on the rack. My German Shepherd Max is asleep by the fireplace. Then I heard the music, software sultry, coming from the upstairs bedroom, our bedroom. I stopped in my tracks. See, when you're in cybersecurity, your instincts are sharp. You notice things most people miss, and something about that music in the middle of a weekday afternoon in our bedroom hit every tripwire in my mind. I set the food and wine down on the kitchen island, kicked off my boots, silently walked across the stone floor, up the floating staircase I built with my own damn hands. Each step sounded louder in my ears than the last, heart pounding like it already knew the truth my mind hadn't fully caught up to. The hallway was filled with the scent of sandalwood and something else, something that didn't belong, something artificial and sweet, like her perfume, mixed with sweat. I reached for the bedroom door, didn't kick it, didn't yell, just turned the handle, and there they were. There they were, Nina, my wife of 10 years, and not with just anyone, with two women I'd once trusted with my life, Leah and Sophie, my closest friends since college, the kind of people you go to war with, or used to. The three of them were wrapped up in our sheets, naked, sweaty, tangled like some twisted love knot. The same bed I had imported from Italy after our anniversary trip to Lake Como. The one Nina said she wanted because it felt like heaven. Now it was hell. Sophie saw me first. She yelped, scrambling to grab the edge of the duvet. Leah froze, eyes wide but unreadable. Nina just sat up. No shame, no panic. She ran a hand through her hair and looked at me with nothing more than mild irritation. "You're home early," she said, as casually as someone noticing the weather changed. 10 years of marriage, 2 lost pregnancies, a joint mortgage, vacations, therapy, holiday dinners, hospital visits, the dog, the business plans she wanted to help with, the money I helped her start her boutique with, the support, the sacrifices, and now I was just a speed bump in her midday threesome. "How long has this been going on?" I asked. Calm, cold, dead steady. Leah grabbed a robe. Sophie said nothing. Nina shrugged. "Does it matter?" That right there, that was the moment I felt it. The death of something, not just love, respect, gone. "Was it just them?" I asked, eyes narrowing. "Or are there more?" Sophie tried to speak, but Nina cut her off. "Don't be dramatic, Jason. It's not like I've been running a damn brothel." "No," I said, looking around the room, "because this looks like a menu." Leah stepped forward, now in my hoodie. "Jason, it's not what you think." "Really?" I said, taking a slow breath, "because it looks exactly like what it is." Sophie finally found her voice. "You've been so busy, Jay. Always working, always distracted. We didn't mean. If you say it just happened, I swear I'll lose it." Nina crossed her arms. "You've been emotionally unavailable for over a year. You built a company and forgot about the woman next to you. And you solved that by sleeping with 2 of my best friends at the same time?" No one answered. The silence was everything. Then I laughed. Not a funny laugh. A deep, broken, I can't believe this is real kind of laugh. "You know what?" I said finally, stepping back. "We can keep the bed." And I turned, not storming out, not yelling, just walking, quietly, with every ounce of dignity they thought they'd stripped away. But they had no idea. This wasn't my defeat. It was their countdown. I didn't slam the door, didn't break a vase or peel out of the driveway. I just walked downstairs, grabbed the sushi and the wine I'd brought, set it in the fridge, and stood in the kitchen of the house I built, staring out at the backyard where I once dreamed of raising kids. That life, gone in one afternoon. But I wasn't falling apart. I wasn't the kind of man who spirals into whiskey and sad music. I was the kind of man who built a multi-million-dollar cybersecurity company from a single line of Python in a shared dorm room. The kind of man who doesn't scream. He calculates. 15 minutes later, I heard them come downstairs. The guilty trio. They walked into the living room like kids about to ask for forgiveness for breaking a lamp. Leah cleared her throat first. Jason, we need to talk about this like adults. There it was, the corporate tone, the let's all be mature garbage. I didn't move. I gave you everything, I said. My voice didn't rise. All three of you. They didn't speak. I gave you trust, I continued. A house, access, loyalty, and this is what you did with it. Nina crossed her arms. We made mistakes. No, I said, turning to face them. You made choices, again and again. Sophie tried to soften it. You've been so distant lately, always in meetings, late nights. So the solution was a group sex session in my bed? Leah spoke up again, trying to sound reasonable. Maybe we all need space, a reset. This doesn't have to get ugly. I looked at her for a long time. You think this is me getting ugly? Nina tried one last swing. Jason, we can work through this. There's therapy, open relationship options. I held up a hand. Number stop. Then I looked Nina square in the eyes. You're not the woman I married, she smirked. Maybe you're not the man I thought I married. Oof, the kind of line that's meant to cut deep. But all it did was confirm what I already knew. She didn't love me. She loved what I could give her, what I represented, the shield, the status, the safety net. So I walked to the front door, opened it, and turned to face them one last time. I'm going to disappear for a bit, I said. Don't call, don't text, don't wonder. Where are you going? Sophie asked, half panicked. Out, I replied, to remember who I was before I let you people define me. Then I looked directly at Nina. You said I've been emotionally unavailable for a year. That may be true. A pause. But the next time you see me, I'll be completely unavailable, emotionally, legally, and financially. And then I walked out, not running away, walking toward something, toward the reckoning. I didn't check into a hotel. Hotels leave a paper trail. I booked a private cabin outside Estes Park through a former client who owed me a favor. Paid in cash, no digital footprint. First night, I barely slept. Not because I was heartbroken, but because my brain was on fire, piecing together every red flag I had ignored. Nina's sudden interest in girls' retreats. Leah showing up late to every group hangout, then texting Nina immediately after. Sophie's bizarre questions about our prenup just out of curiosity. They'd been laying the groundwork for this for months, maybe longer. I remembered the $80,000 investment I gave Nina to start her home decor boutique, one that magically broke even every quarter but never turned a profit. I remembered Leah asking to borrow my business card once to book a flight for all of us. Turns out she used it 3 more times. I remembered Sophie's Instagram story that accidentally tagged a Jay's house location at 2 a.m. while I was in San Francisco. And then came the worst one. I opened my encrypted cloud storage, something I rarely access because I automated it years ago. And I found a folder Nina clearly thought I didn't know existed, screenshots, conversations, emails between the three of them, full of jokes, sexual comments, even photos in my home. They used my space like a playground, mocked me, planned vacations, made exit strategies. They were trying to take everything, slowly, surgically, but they underestimated one thing. I don't fight with fists. I fight with information. The morning of day 6, I called my attorney, Clint Maddox, a former Marine turned family lawyer with a reputation for destroying dishonest spouses in court without ever raising his voice. Clint had known me for years, helped me incorporate my first business. He didn't ask for details. He just said, I've seen this play before. Send me everything. So I did. The cloud folder, the texts, the business bank records showing Nina's expenses, the security cam footage from the hallway outside our bedroom. I'd installed it 2 years ago after a break-in scare. Turns out Nina had no idea it backed up to an offsite drive, or that the mic picked up audio. I had hours of them, sneaking around, plotting, laughing. Clint's response, you're going to win, but let's not just win. Let's bury them. Next, I contacted my firm's finance manager. I had quietly started siphoning my earnings into a trust 4 months earlier when Nina began acting odd. Instinct, I guess. I froze our shared accounts, locked credit, terminated her business card, and cut off the boutique's corporate line. By 2 p.m., she couldn't even fill up her gas tank. Then came the social front. I sent a carefully worded message to our mutual friend group, neutral in tone, factual in content. Hey everyone, just wanted to let you know Nina and I are separating. I've stepped away from social obligations for a bit, and I hope you'll respect that. I won't be speaking publicly about it. I trust the truth will speak for itself. No gossip, no smear campaign. I didn't need one. The truth had teeth, and I was going to let it bite slowly. Day 10, I returned to the city, not to our home, but to a loft I rented under my LLC's name in Lodo. Private, secure, furnished like a silent war room. First thing I did? Called the property manager of the building Nina and I co-owned, the one she had tried to convince me to sell so we could travel more. Turns out she'd been renting one of the units under the table, to Leah, at a discounted rate, on a lease she forged my signature on. I faxed the signed fraud complaint to my lawyer and requested eviction paperwork. Leah would be out in 30 days, no warning, no explanation. Then, I made a visit to Sophie's workplace. She was a relationship therapist. That's right. A woman who broke up her best friend's marriage was counseling other people about commitment. I didn't out her. No shouting match, no scene. Instead, I scheduled a session using a fake name and recorded everything, ethically, legally, in accordance with Colorado's single-party consent laws. Then, I anonymously sent her employer the compilation of emails, texts, and audio of her mocking her own clients and plotting with Nina. 2 days later, she was suspended pending review. Her license now sits under investigation. The more hits they took, the louder Nina got. Calls, texts, emails, threats. Then finally, desperation. Jason, please, this doesn't have to go nuclear. Oh, but it did. It was always going to. Because what she broke wasn't just a marriage. It was the illusion that she ever saw me as human. To her, I had always been a provider. A status boost. A useful man. She just forgot. Useful men are dangerous when they stop being useful and start being strategic. Day 17, Clint called. Her lawyer just reached out, he said, deadpan. She wants the house, half of your business equity, and lifetime alimony. I didn't even flinch. Send them the counteroffer, I said. What counteroffer? The one that'll make her fire that lawyer by morning. I sent Clint everything I hadn't already shared. The bank transfers to Leah labeled as consulting, even though she'd never worked a day in her life. The Venmo notes from Sophie reading round 3 tonight while I was at a funeral. A voicemail from Nina, never sent, rehearsing how to spin the affair if it went public. He reviewed the file and said, Jesus, Jason, this isn't a divorce, it's a takedown. You think she's ready for it? I asked. No, he replied, but you are. Meanwhile, I reached out to my network. I'd done a lot for a lot of people over the years. Tech investors, developers, small business owners, podcasters, even a few YouTubers I'd quietly helped with data protection issues. I called in every favor. Nina's boutique lost its lease overnight. Her supplier accounts were mysteriously dropped due to reputation concerns. Her social media got flagged after someone anonymously reported her posts for violating ethical standards. As a public figure who counseled women on marriage, she tried to pivot, post cryptic, healing content, play the spiritual victim, but nobody bought it. Why? Because I didn't attack her character. I just revealed her own words, screenshots, audio, inconsistencies, truth, unpolished, unedited. Nothing sticks like someone outing themselves. Day 30. I agreed to a mediation meeting at her attorney's office, neutral ground. She walked in wearing all white like some sort of PR rehab angel. Leah and Sophie weren't with her, but their stink was. Her lawyer did most of the talking at first, trying to sound composed, fair, negotiable. But when Clint slid the stack of printed evidence across the table, photos, texts, financial statements, the air changed. Nina's lawyer read the first 3 pages, looked at her, and said, "We need to step outside." She refused. "I've got nothing to hide," she said, jaw clenched. So we continued. When Clint got to the part about the forged lease, she blinked. When he brought up the embezzlement potential tied to my business card, she shifted in her seat. And when he slid the prenatal clinic receipts with Leah's name tied to my health care plan, her mouth finally opened. You were spying on me? No, I said. I was protecting myself. You did the rest. She didn't cry. She didn't beg. She just said, "You won't get away with this. People will take my side." I leaned forward. "Take it then. Take the spotlight, but don't forget, spotlights cast shadows, and you've lived in one too long to survive the heat." The lawyer quietly asked if we'd be willing to settle privately. I said I'd think about it, but we both knew I already had. 1 year later, I stood on the balcony of my new home, modern, sharp, fully mine, overlooking the Denver skyline with a drink in one hand and Max by my side. The divorce was finalized 6 months ago. She didn't get the house, didn't get the business, didn't even get the dog. Leah moved to Seattle. Sophie disappeared offline entirely. Nina? Still trying to rebuild her image one filtered post at a time. None of them knew about the new woman in my life. Not a rebound, not a fling, a friend, a partner, a grown woman who knew what loss looked like and loved without games. I wasn't in a rush to define us. But I knew one thing. She never lied, and that alone was priceless. My company? Bigger than ever. I'd launched a side brand teaching digital self-defense to people recovering from betrayal. You wouldn't believe how many men and women reached out with the same story, just different names. Apparently, betrayal's universal. But so is healing. That's what I wanted to leave you with. This story didn't start with a bang. It started with a sound, music, sensual, slow, private, but it ended with silence, the kind that comes when you reclaim your peace. So to anyone out there standing at the edge of betrayal, unsure whether to fall or fight, choose yourself, not out of revenge, but out of rebirth, because sometimes the best thing your enemies can do for you is show you exactly who they are so you can become exactly who you were meant to be. Jason Blake.